long been speculated about Virat Kohli's availability for the length of this tour, and you got confirmation overnight, mate.
Yeah, g'day, Jim. It has sort of been coming for a while, but it's one of those things that I think, it's a bit of a sensitive issue and people have sort of almost avoided it. But from the moment that Virat Kohli and his wife announced that they were expecting in January, but with no specific due date, I guess this kind of scenario was always on the cards. And to be honest, it's just about the worst case scenario because I guess some of us were thinking, oh, maybe he'd just missed the last test or something like that. But to miss 3 of the 4 tests, it is a huge blow to the series. The Australian team itself may not be complaining, having lost the Border-Gavaskar Trophy last time Virat was here. But having said that, you want to play against the best players. And, Virat Kohli is a superstar. He probably is the best batsman in the world, or in a dead heat with Steve Smith anyway. So it's a massive blow, and particularly for Cricket Australia, who have fought very hard through the pandemic to try and make this summer as big as possible.
Yeah, it's a good point you make, isn't it? Because yes, on a very selfish note, for Australia, you'd like to think, okay, well, if he's out, that obviously strengthens our chances. But he brings so much on and off the field, doesn't he?
He does, and look, he will still be there for the first test, and. India won the first test in Adelaide last time, and it really did set up the victory for them. So it's not, it's not over yet. If he could inspire them to victory in the first test, even when he does go home, they'll take some chasing because you've got a second and third test in Melbourne and Sydney where the wickets are usually pretty flat, and it's hard to get a victory there. So the first test is massive in this series. Probably bigger than it's ever been, and Virat Kohli will be there for it. So it's a huge plus for Australia, I guess, that he won't be there for the rest, but they won't want to take India lightly because they're still a very good outfit, and there's talk that Rohit Sharma, a very good batsman in his own right, will be back to replace Virat.
Yeah, he was initially left out, they said, for a hamstring injury. Didn't look like he was too troubled in the IPL of late, but who would then step into the breach in terms of leadership? It'll be a simple move up for the VC to the captaincy?
I think so, yeah. Ajinkya Rahane has done it before. Virat Kohli missed a test against Australia in 2017, which India won, albeit in India. But yeah, Rahane's a very capable player, very capable leader. I don't think there'll be too much doubt about that. But there's a huge amount of presence that you lose with Virat Kohli. He oozes self-belief. He's one of the few overseas players who's done really, really well in Australia all the time, consistently has made big scores. I guess the difference in the Indian team that won 2 years ago was they did just come with this sort of self-belief, bulletproof self-belief that other Indian teams who have come here haven't had. And they do lose a bit of that without Virat Kohli. So it's going to be a huge test for them. And like I say, Virat Kohli, knowing his competitiveness, he will be pouring absolutely everything into that first test. So that's going to be a huge challenge for Australia to withstand that.
Yeah, of course, you can catch it all on Fox Cricket. Ben, just before we let you go, you can also catch the IPL as well on Fox Cricket. And that's where we've seen a lot of the potential or future combatants this Test series actually playing alongside each other. Interesting times when you see the likes of Steve Smith and all those rubbing shoulders with their soon-to-be fierce opponents.
Yeah, exactly. It's always one of the highlights of the IPL, and they're going to be sharing a plane trip over here as well. So they're going to be pretty familiar with each other by the time the first test rolls around. Of course, there's a one-day and T20 series before we even get the tests underway. So, yes, by January 19, when the series is over, the two teams will be pretty familiar, even if they are in a bubble.